Add the latest to the big meeting that is underway right now, looking live at the White House. President Trump hosting Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This as President Trump weighs using military force against Iran, and a fragile ceasefire in the Middle East continues to hold. Let's take you out live to Foreign Affairs correspondent Alex Salve, who is at the White House with more. Alex.
Yeah, Bianca, President Trump meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for about an hour and a half now. In fact, the Israeli leader appeared on the side of the White House, not the typical front door greeting that we see when President Trump comes out and meets the leader when they arrive. Now, I don't know if you can hear behind me necessarily, but there is a large group of protesters just down the street. That's why you may hear some screaming and some whistling as well. Of course, that's what Netanyahu was trying to avoid when he arrived this morning. But this marks the Israeli leader's 7th trip to the United States to meet with Trump during his 2nd term, with Netanyahu this morning actually meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio first and signing on to President Trump's Board of Peace. This entire visit was supposed to take place later this month, but moved up at the request of Israel amid a series of crucial developments that are unfolding in the Middle East. As we know, a massive American military buildup taking place off Iran's coast, as the president hopes that fruitful negotiations can avoid a larger conflict. The United States is adamant about Tehran scaling back its nuclear program, while Israel would like to see additional concessions, such as limits to Iran's ballistic missile arsenal and support for terror groups, with Netanyahu detailing his approach to today's talks with Trump prior to his departure.
I will present to the President our views regarding the principles of the negotiations, the important principles, and in my eyes they are important not only for Israel, but for anyone in the world who wants peace and security in the Middle East.
Now, Netanyahu last night meeting with Special Envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff at Blair House here in Washington, D.C., where he was briefed on the ongoing negotiations with Iran and, of course, the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip under President Trump's peace plan. We know that those are conversations that are currently being continued right now with President Trump in the White House. It's unknown if we'll hear from the two leaders after these conversations, but Bianca will be sure to keep you updated if there's any developments.
We know you will, Alex. Thank you for that live update. And I'm pleased to bring in our next guest, Ruthie Blum, a former advisor to the office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu until 2024. She's an award-winning columnist and a senior contributing editor at the Jewish News Syndicate. She co-hosts Israel Undiplomatic on JNS TV. Ruthie, it's great to have you. So we know Netanyahu pushed up his trip to come even earlier. Time he feels is of the essence. And President Trump is not messing around either with the armada that Iran is facing, and potentially now even more strike carriers. What do you think the most pressing discussion point will be today that Netanyahu wants to walk away with? Is it confirmation of a certain deal point, or is it a time frame?
Well, look, what we know so far from what has been reported from Netanyahu's office is that he wants to make sure that the deal, if there is such a deal, will include ballistic missiles, funding terrorism, etc. But actually, what he really needs to secure from President Trump is the promise that any deal he does sign, in the event that he does sign a deal with the Islamic Republic, that it will not tie Israel's hand in the event that Israel has to go it alone against Iran. And that is of great concern in Israel, that, you know, the Iranians might say, not the Iranians, excuse me, not the Iranian people, the Mullahs might say, any deal you sign with us has to include a promise that Israel will not attack us.
Well, we are watching it very closely. Productive few hours as we saw his meetings began the moment he touched down here in the United States, and we await this readout of this important meeting. Ruthie Blum, pleasure to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bianca.